laughable person. You know, I was thinking about this, you know, way to honor her, and I thought about, on our tombstones there's always dates. The dates we were born and the date we died. But there's something in between, there's this dash. And that's what's important in our life, is what does the dash represent? And that's the time between when we were born and when we died. So, in honor of her, we are dedicating this tree this evening. Somebody's going to have to help me out. This is a lilac tree, but there's more to the name.
It's an ivory silk white lilac tree. It's a Japanese version.
It will be very beautiful. It blooms out just full of white flowers, I understand, in the springtime. So she would be proud of that. And I was looking and reading through some of her articles lately, and I said, well, you know, I hope that a few dandelions come up in this bed. And everybody that's read her stories know what I'm talking about, because she sold us on the idea that that was probably one of the best flowers you could possibly have. I'm glad to see her husband Bob, Cindy. I see Nate back there too. I've known these guys probably since what, about the 90s?
Oh yeah.
Was the first time we met, so probably about 25 years ago.
I think we got off the ark together.
We may have. So, just a few of the details. You know, she was born February 2nd, 1954. She passed away from this life on Sunday, August the 18th of this year. I saw a message that was written by Bill Murphy. I don't know Bill Murphy personally, but he kind of summed it up this way, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. He said, it's not often that one reads an obituary of someone you've never met. But I think I'll miss her. I've read her reporting and editorials for over 2 decades. Her writing was clear. She shared her journey with her readers, and that is what I'll miss. He goes on to say, God bless your family in this time of loss. And I thought, how fitting a tribute is that. Another one I came across, and this lady I didn't know either, but her name was Brenda Nelson. She's up on Kaiser Drive, and she summed it up this way. She said, at a time when so much news is filled with tragedy and negativity, I opened a newspaper and read Sean Mattingly's beautiful and inspiring column entitled Blessings Around the Southeast Indiana. And I encourage you all to read that article, because in the middle of everything that she was going through, she still found something positive, something beautiful, and was always looking out for others' well-being more than her own. Part of that article, and I'll just read you a couple little excerpts from it that jumped out at me. When I get to the right one here. This is from that article about blessings in Southeast Indiana. She says, but I look at the blessings of a warm house, nutritious food, warm clothing, and a good job with health insurance. I wonder about folks struck with serious disease who live in underdeveloped countries. She goes on to say, I can deal with my own challenges, but how hard is it for parents who must watch their children suffer? So she was always looking out for the welfare of others and more concerned with them than herself. This is in the middle of when she was going through and battling with the sickness that she dealt with. But she still had that kind of grace, that kind of outlook on life. So I'll go on to read this from Brenda Nelson. At a time when so much news is filled with tragedy and negativity, she goes to say she likes reading Chan's inspiration, especially this blessing in Indiana that I quoted a few things through. She said, down through the years I've been blessed, entertained, and enlightened by Chan's contribution to the newspaper. Her love of nature shines brightly and encourages us to take time to admire the first daffodils of spring, the bounty of a summer garden, the harvest of a colorful landscape in autumn, and the sparkling splendor of snow-covered lawns. It says, we often have been educated about horses, about bees, about butterflies. Many of us added milkweeds to our flower gardens after her article about how important they were. She goes on to say, she's reminded of a biblical account of Paul and Silas, who had been unjustly imprisoned, and in an attempt to suppress what they were doing. However, rather than having pity, they started singing praises to God. And this, to me, is what she was like and what she was about. So with that being said, I would ask for you to bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering. We thank you for this remembrance, that Sean will be in our hearts and minds forever, that every time we walk past this tree, and Lord, for that matter, when we walk past any tree and see the beauty of nature through her eyes, that we'll be reminded of her. So in that, we do dedicate this time and this tree and the roots that it's put down, like it spreads out all over the place, like she spread through all of our lives. And we thank you. We thank you for the time that she spent with us. We thank you for the impact that she had on each and every one of our lives in a different way. But she impacted us all. We thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen. So thank you all for showing up for this. Is there anybody else that would like to say anything at this time?
The thing that I liked the best about Sean was he had this unique ability to tie nature to God in a way that most of us will never be able to do. She saw the universe, I guess, in its total connectivity. You know, when most of us look at grass, or rock, or a tree, we see grass, a rock, and a tree. We don't think about the physical part of creation and how wonderful that is. Mm-hmm. Only God can make something out of nothing. And so I understood that and related it to everybody. And I think like went right to the soul, right to the heart, and right out to all of us. So,
thanks, Jim. Well said. Yeah, she came to our house one time, brought a group of people, and walked me around the yard, said, "That's edible, that's edible, that's edible." And I always appreciated that when she educated us every chance she got. So thank you for coming to honor her. Is anybody else?
Yeah. I'd like to say something on Rob's breakdown. So, yeah. This is it's a really neat thing.
It's a gorgeous tree. We really appreciate you all.
Love you guys.
Thank you for sharing her with us.
Yeah, you did.
We didn't have much choice. She did exactly what she wanted to do every day of her life. You know that.
She did.
If there's one thing, she was a fighter.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it all, you know, there was no complaining. It was, you know, she was in pain. You know, she was going through that.
I worked at the register with her the whole time that she worked there until I retired. And she never had anything bad to say about anybody. She never got mad. She was always upbeat. She always looked at the good in everyone.
She did.
And she appreciated everyone. She didn't take anybody for granted. She always, when you came up to her, you knew you were going to get a little talk and a hug and upbeat message from her. Even when she was sick, I went down the Rising Sun, and she told me it's just in God's hands, and she was fine with that. And she was one of the special people I've ever met.
I agree. There was so much more in reading through some of the stuff that could be shared, and that was one of the things. She was, I don't know how to describe it, she was ready. She was more concerned about you guys than she was about her. So.
We're done. We'll do okay. She taught us that.
Yeah, she loved you guys.